Hi everyone, how are you today? I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today I'm here to talk about my 2020 favorites, which I'm kind of nervous about and yet really excited. This is my very first favorites video ever. I generally don't try enough new things to do monthly favorites and even quarterly favorites. I feel like I'm talking about the same things over and over again, but I feel like I could do a roundup for you. Just some of the highlights of some of the things that I enjoyed this year. The way I'm going to do this is just my favorites. These are not all things that came out new this year. In fact, some of them are quite old to the makeup, timeline, storyline. They're just things that I really enjoyed this year. I love it when other creators look back on their past year's favorites and see how their tastes have changed. I look forward to doing that next year as well. So let's just go ahead and get right into this year's favorites. Let's start with the complexion. I don't have favorites for every category. I mean, I have things that I use almost every day, but I'm just not, excited about them, so I wouldn't really count them as favorites. This, however, this is the Missha BB cream. This is the, let's see, what do they call this? The Perfect Cover BB cream. I am almost done with this. I've had this in my project pan, and this was such a great discovery for me this year. If you enjoy the idea of a product to, even out skin imperfections, maybe cover up some redness, cover up a little acne, but you do not want the look of foundation. You know how foundation can look heavy. It's difficult to find one that is skin-like. Plus this has SPF in it. And I would consider it more on the glowy side. This would be perfect for you. Others have mentioned the scent on this, and it is there, but when I find that when I am putting it on, I don't even notice it anymore. But did want to mention, it's scented if that's something that bothers you. The shade range in this is also not great. I think they have reformulated it. I think I saw it in new packaging. I haven't tried that one yet. I've heard really good things about it though, but they still haven't really expanded the shade range. Missha is a Korean brand. They tend not to have very inclusive shade ranges, unfortunately. But if you can find your shade, I do highly recommend this, and it is what I'm wearing on my face today. Let's quick throw in a brow product. Right now I have the shade that doesn't match me, but this is the LA Girl Shady Slim Brow Pencil. If you, once again, can find a shade that you like, this is really nice. It is one of those twist up, retractable brow pencils, and it's got a super slim product. So it's nice to get in there and maybe just kind of fill in the areas that you want. I have heard people say that this is too soft for them and that they go through these incredibly quickly. I could definitely see that being the case if you really like an intense brow and you're really, using a lot of product, or if you're drawing in your brows, if you have very sparse brows. I do already have a lot of brow hairs, so for me the purpose of a brow pencil is just to kind of fill in, the slightly more sparse areas, maybe give the tail end a little more definition. But the shade that I like is the shade Brunette. Medium brown is the one I have in my brows today. It's a little bit too warm. I feel like I can pull it off, maybe a little bit. But yes, such an affordable option for a nice creamy micro brow pencil. Shall we talk blushes? I feel like I need to do a whole separate blush video. I think I will. Coming up, I need to either do one of the blush tags that have been going around, or even just a full-on blush collection video, just because I love blush a lot. I love the powder, I love liquid, and I love the creams. But this year, I definitely discovered how much I love cream blush. So those are the ones I'm going to mention. First, I have to mention this one. This is from Basic Beauty. This is in the shade October 3rd. They call it their Jelly Blush, which can, I think, really give the wrong impression for the texture of this. It is definitely a cream, not jelly. It has zero tackiness. Like, it's extremely smooth. It feels like it probably has like silicone type things in it. But it's a type of formula that I would describe as perhaps cream to powder. When people used to talk about that, I didn't know what they meant. I was like, what does that even mean? I feel like this is that product, because you get your product, put it in your skin, and then it blends. You need barely any pressure, and it just blends out so pretty. I did hit pan in this year. This was in my project pan. I would happily use this blush up and repurchase. I think it is so nice. And I've never heard of this brand before. This came in like a Ipsy bag. I just realized I want to make sure that this is still available. So it is. shopbasicbeauty.com. Looks like this particular shade is currently sold out, but they do have 2 other shades. Okay, now for a liquid blush. This year I finally tried out the Flower Beauty Blush Balm. This is like a serum blush. So you don't need very much. It has like a little dropper on it. You get just the tiniest little bit. You can see I've got it here, and then it just blends out incredibly easily on the skin. So and you can build it up to get more color. This particular shade is the shade Pinched. It's a really nude blush. And oh my goodness, I love the way this looks like skin. You just look so healthy and your skin looks so juicy. Definite favorite. I had a really hard time actually picking favorite blushes because I shop my stash. I rotate through my blushes all the time. And so if you just look at what I've used the most, it would be difficult to pick out what my favorite thing is, just because I really try to use everything equally. So what I chose for favorites were the items that made me want to rebel against my shop my stash. Where I was like, I know I didn't pick it, but I really want to use that one. Yeah, this is one of those. I craved using this all year. This one I actually got towards the end of this year, but it quickly became a favorite. This is from NYX. This is the Sweet Cheeks Soft Cheek Tint Blush Mousse. It has a very different texture than the other two that I mentioned. It comes in like what looks like kind of like a lip gloss tube, and it has what looks like, you know, a lip product applicator. And I tend to just, you know, put it on my face with the applicator, although you could put it on the back of your hand and then, you know, dab in with like a brush or whatever you would like and then dab it on. My favorite way to use it is I would just put it right on my cheeks and then blend it out with a brush like this. And my favorite way was to like dab it in like this, just kind of like a pressing motion. And this particular color I loved so much. This is the shade Nude Tude. It's almost like a terracotta nude color. Once again, I just loved how healthy I looked wearing this. This one, in comparison to Pinched stays more dewy looking. This one looks a bit more matte, but I really love both of them and I foresee them being a favorite forever. I guess we'll see next year. Shall we talk lip products? So same thing, I shop my stash, I rotate through everything all the time, so it was really hard to nail down, you know, ultimate favorites, but I do need to mention some lip liners. So first, these from Essence. Essence is such, I feel like, an overlooked brand many times just because, I don't know if people view it as cheap because it is so affordable, but they have some really great products, including their lip liners. So they have a couple different ranges for lip liners. They have these without the pencils, and then they have the retractable ones. I haven't tried the retractable ones, but I hear great things about them. But I've only tried these, so I can only mention these. I have 3 different shades, and I find them extremely useful. Let me quick swatch them. Okay, this is the shade number 11. It's called Sucker for Gray. I'm wearing it today. I like it when I'm wearing any sort of a pale mauve lip color. Really, really nice for that. This is shade number 8. This is shade Big Proposal. This was the very first one that I tried that made me fall in love with these lip liners. I find this lip liner in particular to be extremely handy when wearing a gloss or a lipstick that's a little bit too yellow. The pink in this, even if I don't completely fill in my lips, if I just do the outline with the lip liner with this shade, it makes it much more wearable for me. It changes the undertone enough to where I like it more. Kind of the same with this one. This is the shade number 7, Lost in Love. It's pretty similar to this one. I would say Lost in Love has even more pink in it. And I wear this one when I'm wearing like a very nude lipstick that I would say is a little too light for me. And once again, it makes it wearable. So I just love these. If you've never tried a lip liner before and don't want to, you know, spend a lot of money, I'd say they're worth the price. They're probably not as long lasting as some others. Like I know that their other range they're supposed to be the really long lasting ones, but I still think that they do the job. Another lip liner that I really liked this year was this one from ColourPop. This is in the shade Beeper. Now the ColourPop lip liners, once again, they're also sharpenable like the Essence ones, but these are an extremely creamy formula. And depends on what you like, you know, and if you want more of a stiff formula, it will last longer on your lips, or if you want more of a creamy formula that you can wear almost, or that you can wear kind of like a lipstick. I enjoy both of them, but for different reasons. This shade Beeper is such a gorgeous, cool, almost brown. This one to me leans more purpley mauve, whereas this one has more brown in it. So I wear both, but for different reasons. These are I feel like the ColourPop liners are a lot of people's favorites for a reason. I really enjoyed this. I would happily get more colors in both ranges. Now let's talk about some glosses. Let's stick with the ColourPop theme for a minute. This year, the ColourPop Luxe glosses came out. I have 2 shades. I have the shades Slow Motion and the shade Come Through. I wanted to try one of their cream glosses and then also one of their glosses that had like some more like shimmer in it. These are really nice. They have the big doe foot that, you know, people love. I love it too. Oh, they smell sweet. They smell like candy. And depending on the shade you can get ones that are more opaque or ones that are more sheer. This shade Slow Motion is a little more opaque just because it's the cream formula, and ooh, it's so yummy. So, so nice. If you like the Maybelline lifter glosses that came out, and if you like the Fenty glosses, you would really enjoy the ColourPop Luxe glosses. This is the shade Come Through. You can see this is one of like the ones with like little micro shimmer particles in it. Much more sheer, but ooh, oh so juicy on the lips. And so affordable. Also, it's worth mentioning, I do tend to have sensitive lips, so even products that aren't supposed to be plumping will make my lips tingle sometimes, and these don't. So these definitely are a favorite for me for that reason. The Maybelline ones, I really enjoy using those, but I didn't put them in this because they make my lips tingle for a little while. That tells me that if I used it every day, I would probably get a reaction. I can only wear those every once in a while. I only have a mini one of these to show you. My full-size one went bad, but this is from the Balm. This is their creamy lip stain. I have the shade Konnichiwa here. I also really love the shade Salute. But how to describe these? You can see here it kind of looks like a gloss, and it goes on like a gloss. And the glossy part, you know, will wear off eventually, but it leaves behind a stain. I guess that's kind of like but they're extremely lightweight, and they don't dry down like a liquid lipstick. There's none of that tight feeling. They're really, really comfortable. I love this type of formula. I've heard that the K-beauty brands, this is the type of formula that they do quite often, which tells me I need to get more into K-beauty stuff because I love it. Now for some completely different products, I have some minis here of the MAC lip glosses. This is an example of the products that have been out for a really long time, and I'm just now learning to love them. This shade is the one I have on my lips today. This is the shade Lovechild. I don't have anything else like this in my stash. I do plan on using this up soon, and eventually it will be a repurchase. It is such an interesting shade. Different than anything that I have. It looks so purple in the tube, but for some reason when it goes on, it works. Same with this shade called Spite in the tube. I don't know. It looks honestly ugly. Just kind of a weird, cool brown color, but oh, it's so gorgeous on the lips. And also the shade Purr. I love it. Such a beautiful summer shade. To describe the formula of these, if you haven't tried them before, when I first put it on my lips, my first thought was, ooh, this is hugging my lips. I love it. So some people might call it more sticky. I mean, it's not gonna do like the gross stringy thing that sometimes people experience. At least I've never experienced that with these. But in comparison to others, they are going to be more of a sticky gloss, which I don't mind because it means that they stay on your lips. They don't migrate as much. Of course, if you're going to be eating or drinking, they will definitely, they are a gloss. They will definitely migrate to the rim of your glass. But they also last a lot longer on the lips than a lot of lip glosses just because they have that lip hugging quality. I do not have to reapply these glosses very often to make it last all day. Love them. Now I need to mention honestly, it was a favorite, but I feel bad mentioning it because it's discontinued now. This is from Bite Beauty, and I have the shade Dirty Chai. They have been seen at TJ Maxx, so if you're interested in trying one out, you know, they can still sometimes be found there. This particular shade is like the most perfect mix of terracotta, pink, red, and brown. Like it's none of those shades at all, but together on my lips, like they create the most perfect mix of all those colors. It's just a really, really good shade for me, and I have yet to find a shade like this. Okay, now let's talk about eyeshadow. Eyeshadow is another one that's really tough because because I rotate through all of my shadows, and I have even been doing a 1 week, 1 palette project where I have really been focusing on each palette of mine for a week at a time. So I just really sat and thought for quite a while about my favorites. So I've decided finally on some favorite palettes and some favorite singles. So let's talk about the palettes first. For like an everyday palette, I have to mention this one from ColourPop. This is the Going Coconuts palette. And I mention this one because every time I use it, I love the look I do, and I don't ever have to like think about what I'm doing. Like the look just always turns out. The mattes are blendy, the shimmers are beautiful, and it's just a beautiful everyday palette. Plus, it's affordable. That is a huge plus in my book, and the formula on this one is nice. So if you like neutral makeup, I do highly recommend. For a neutral makeup runner-up, I have to mention this palette. The reason why it's a runner-up is because it's discontinued. But this is one of those palettes that despite all of my, shop my stashes, I kept wanting to reach for this one, which is why I had to mention it as a favorite. How great would it be if Anastasia re-released this? It would be. It'd be awesome. Moving on from that, sadly discontinued, so disappointing. I have to mention this indie brand. These are the opposite of neutral. But these are palettes from Kaleidos Makeup. They are such a joy to use, guys. They get like a 100% A+ on packaging, their color story selection, and their formula. Even though the colors to me are often intimidating, I mean, just look at this one. This is the Electric Turquoise. It is so blendy. The mattes are pigmented, but you don't have to worry about blending them out. I mean, they will, but I feel like they blend themselves almost. There's no work involved in making the look pretty with these. So this is the Electro Turquoise, the Lunar Lavender, and the Astro Pink. Of those three, the only one that I've had in my collection for any amount of time is the Electro Turquoise, but I'm mentioning these as well just because the formula across the board, they're amazing. You guys seeing this is a bit of a spoiler for my indie makeup haul that's coming up soon. But I felt okay mentioning them in the favorites just because the formula is the favorite here. If you find a color story that you like, I can recommend them as well. Let's talk about some sparkly topper shades. So this year I discovered the Essence Melted Chrome eyeshadow. I really like them all, but this one in particular, this is shade number 2 called Ironic. This one's great as both as a topper shade and also as a single shadow look. Ooh, I think they're $4.99, easily accessible at Ulta, ulta.com, or the Essence website. You're looking for a sparkly, more of like a champagne shade. This is a great one. And I also need to mention two I can say it, guys. 2 Super Shocks, there we go, I got it out, from ColourPop. And I think I mentioned the same ones that everyone else does. I think everyone else agrees. So first, this is the shade Ladybird. Very, very sparkly. Look at that right there. Oh my goodness, so beautiful. And I feel like right there on my wrist, it doesn't look like much, but when you pat it on top of an eye look, it creates the most beautiful little micro sparkly shimmer look. It can transform any look. If you have a matte that you enjoy using, blend it out all over your eye, just gently pat this on top. I recommend not doing like a lot of blending because they will fall out all over your face. Like I've experienced that myself. So just gently pat it on and ooh, it's just so feminine and pretty. Same with this one. This is the shade Ritz, and it's the same type of shade that you pat on the top, but it has a completely different tone than Ladybird does. Ladybird, I feel like, has more of like a very light ivory type sparkle, whereas Ritz has more of like a beige undertone on it. This one I like even wearing by itself, but it has those same super micro glitters in it. Oh my goodness. So, so beautiful. These I recommend if you don't want to necessarily buy a lot of sparkly eyeshadows, but you enjoy the notion of sparkly eyeshadows. You can change any eye look super sparkly with these. Now let's talk about some singles. This year I discovered Makeup Geek and I discovered Sydney Grace. Neither of those I know are new to everybody out there, but they were to me this year. These are some of my favorites. These greens, I have been craving these for months. I just want to wear these greens. This on the outer corner, this in the center of the lid, and this on the inner lid, and it's just perfect. And then I put like a brown in the crease. It's just perfect. Those 3 are from Makeup Geek. It's Leafing So Soon, Jester, and Venom. Makeup Geek, you know, has recently gone through a rebranding and they still haven't re-released all of the shades that they will in their range. I don't think these are available yet. Sometimes they will have like a surprise sale of their old shadows in the single pans. So I think this one right now is on the website. Leafing So Soon, Jester, and Venom. Ooh, so creamy, so good. 2 more from Makeup Geek. These ones I know that they have re-released in like the new square pans. This is Shimma Shimma and In the Spotlight. I know those are classic favorites that other people discovered 5 years ago. I'm just now catching up. So here's Shimma Shimma and In the Spotlight. This is one of my favorite single shadow looks ever. All over the eye, all over the eyelid, all by itself. Just so, so beautiful. Okay, now let's talk about those Sydney Grace shadows. I feel like I've mentioned Sydney Grace quite a bit on my channel. It's because they have some really glorious cool tones. I can't get enough. But not just the cool tones either. So first, this is the shade Peace. Troops. And this is probably my ultra favorite Sydney Grace shade right now. This is the shade Tiara. It's the most glorious taupe. Oh, Just look at it. And I do have to mention this matte from Sydney Grace as well. This is the shade Winter Wonder, which every time I see a shade like this, my heart just a little flip, because I don't know why with my skin tone or with the undertones or whatever, but this is like one of the most perfect crease shades on me ever. Anytime I see this in a palette or a single, it just does it for me. So that's the shade Winter Wonder. So both Makeup Geek and Sydney Grace have really beautifully pigmented and blendy mattes, gorgeous foiled eyeshadows. There's a difference in price though, I feel, and Sydney Grace is the cheaper alternative. I would say go with Makeup Geek if you want a very specific monochromatic quad. They have what they call I think they call it the matrix system, where you can get a shade and then get it in like 4 different tones from light to dark. And then I would say go with Sydney Grace if you want to get super high quality, just like Makeup Geek, but at a better price. Okay, I'm gonna end the video with what I would consider the most boring things. Just a couple tools, some tools, you guys. So, you know, I was hesitant to show this because the CEO, you know, is a lot of drama right now, but this is the Blendiful from Tati Beauty. Before I got one of these, I was really going through the whole trying to find a perfect brush to do my foundation or BB cream. I decided I liked sponges better, but still sometimes I still wasn't thrilled. This completely changed the game for me. I dot it all over my face and I either do a little bit of swiping, some buffing, some pressing, and it's done. Like, it is extremely fast. Like this morning I used it so you can see like this side is dirty. I'll flip it and use this side. I will basically use every corner until the whole thing is dirty, and then I wash it in the sink with gentle soap. This is the same one I've had all year. I think she recommended replacing every 3 months or so, but they're like $18, so I didn't want to do that. I've just been really taking care of mine. Finally, I did have one seam come open over here, but that hasn't affected it for me. It still works the same. It's not as soft as it was when I first bought it, but it's still soft. Now for some brushes. I'm still struggling to find the perfect brushes for me, but this one I think fits the bill, and I know it's a favorite for many. This is the e.l.f. eyeshadow This is the e.l.f. eyeshadow brush. It's just a flat packing brush. It's great for packing on mattes all over your lid, but also it's great at picking up shimmer, and I actually use it to apply the shimmer on my eyelids today. This is a great all-around brush. I think it would actually be smart to have more than one of these for when one is dirty. At the moment, I just have one and I wash it all the time. Also, from e.l.f., I discovered their blush brush. It doesn't look like anything special, and it's not expensive. Once again, just like their eyeshadow brush, very affordable. Before I tried this one, I had tried a few different blush brushes, and well, I didn't dislike any of them. It just wasn't the best, and this one for some reason is. I don't know why. For powder blush, I should say. This is my favorite. I found my perfect cream brush. So this was sent to me randomly in Ipsy. This is from Luxie. All the writing is worn off, so I'm like having to like squint to look at it. This is the 1010 small contour brush. But obviously you wouldn't have to use this one. If you find just any brush that is, it's somewhere between fluffy and dense. But as you can see, it's flat on top and it's perfect for doing this. So I use this with all of my cream blushes, with the exception of like the Flower Beauty one, where I just use my fingers. Have I talked about everything? I think I have. This might be the longest video I have ever done. And guys, I really tried to curate it. I did. So I'm sorry if this video is super long. Thank you guys so much if you made it to the end of this video. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all the likes and all the comments and all the love. Thank you guys so much for supporting my channel this year. It has been such a fun little hobby for me to do. I will see you soon in the next video. Bye.